Hello and welcome to match week 2 of 2026. The Matchday Roundup is back yet again in the Powered by Football podcast. Today we have some wonderful games that myself and Matt will be covering. We have got Sydney versus Football St George in both competitions, and we have got the Western Sydney Wanderers versus Hills United, the inaugural Powered by Football Derby, which was very exciting
Yeah,
for.
lots of
Uh,
people are calling it that.
that's what it's being coined as.
Yeah.
So that's what you're going to hear the most discussion of, I would predict, with the two co-hosts going head to head. And we also have a very entertaining interview that we conducted with Sydney FC's Fletcher Ball after his performance in Sydney FC's premiership game against Football St George. But without any further ado, I think let's just go straight into it, Matt. You reckon?
Yeah, so the first game of the morning was St George versus Sydney FC in the championship, which final score of that was 3-0 in the end, with all three goals coming in the first half, I believe.
The
So,
first goal came from Riley Brown pouncing on a goal kick, which just was a bit miscalculated from the St
oh
George
yeah,
defence that
yeah,
led it
yeah,
straight to him. Not long after, Sydney's passing was just going back and forth, which
yeah. They
eventually
were
saw
passing very, very nicely.
they were passing very well. And that saw Tarek set George Tiong up very well to make it two. And Tarek would get his own goal from a George assist minutes later to make it 3-0. It was very like
Hmm.
bang, bang, bang. Sydney are up 3-0,
It
just
was,
blink
yeah.
and you'll miss it kind of
It
stuff.
kind of came out of nowhere, didn't it?
Yeah, it
I mean,
did.
it was fairly close for the first, what,
Chunk of the
10 or
half.
so minutes. And then St George made a couple of substitutions. And shortly after that, Sydney just kind of clicked. Obviously, said they're unfortunate with the goal kick that they conceded from St George. But yeah, Sydney kind of went on with it. And the second half was probably a bit closer. Lots of passing from both sides. Neither side could really capitalize on anything up front.
Yeah, it felt very typical Sydney, if that makes sense. Like, it felt like Sydney were just used to this sort of game and they did very well. That's not to discredit any of what they were doing, but I feel like that's just another
They're very well
Sydney.
structured. Very well structured.
Very well structured. Yeah, it is a compliment to Sydney when I say that. It is not an insult in any way, shape, or form. But this game did end 3-0, as we said before. There were a couple of chances in the second half, but nothing that was able to spark enough imagination to crack the defenses of either side. And that is the full time score of that game. Transitioning over to the Premiership game, early on in this game, our interviewee for this week, Fletcher Ball, forced a good save from St George's Jake Vidakovic with the ball basically, it was either like bouncing off of Jake, then the post, then out, or the post, then Jake, then out.
Yeah, it was really good. There wasn't a whole lot going on in the first half. St George was structured well defensively. They couldn't really get out of their own half at all. And Sydney were passing the ball around really well, but couldn't quite capitalize in the final third. They had plenty of shots on target, but they were either saved or didn't have enough venom to beat the defense. And then they sent a couple wide and didn't quite get on the end of a couple of pretty good crosses from the wingers. It was 0-0 at half time, and then moving into the second half, Fletcher ended up scoring, I believe, from a Daniel O'Brien assist.
Yeah, just
Um,
Daniel sent the ball basically across the face of goal with a really nice assist. It was a really nice team play from Sydney, if I remember correctly, and just setting
yeah,
Fletcher up for an easy
Fletcher.
goal.
Yeah, Fletcher absolutely slaughtered the defense. There was a gap between Jake and I think it was Turnbull in goals at the time because I believe they made a swap. It was Jake in goals in the first half, and then they went to Turnbull to be the goalkeeper in the second half. They still defended really well, but I think it was just that kind of change from being the defender to the goalkeeper that may have taken a bit of adjusting. And yeah, there was a gap between the two when they were defending, and the ball just squeezed through them, and that was the only goal of the game. There was a couple more shots that were very close to going in from Sydney, but St George, I don't think really had any any shots on target that I can recall in the second half. Turnbull's making some fantastic saves and goals.
I think one thing we should say with St George, we look at our predictions episode, Matt. We tipped St George to get last in the Premiership. However, they've lost only 2-0 to Newcastle and 1-0 to Sydney. Like, I
Mm.
those numbers indicate real positivity to me.
Are you tempted to change your prediction? What are you thinking after 2 rounds? Now that we've seen every team play at least once.
We've seen every team play at least once. I'm gonna stick with most of my predictions. Last week, if you'd asked me, I would have been a bit more hesitant with where the Wanderers were going to get, whether they were going to go
Hmm.
down
Hmm.
below St George, and we'll get to the Wanderers game later. With the Wanderers'
Yep.
performance in the Premiership against Hills today, I do think that they are a fight for fourth, and I do think that it'll be a bit of a coin toss situation, in my opinion. It'll be close because
It'll be a good game to watch, I think. It'll be a close, good game.
I'm not fully convinced that St George are going to pip Wanderers yet, but I think it's a very close argument. We did interview Sydney FC's Fletcher Ball for a very fun and silly interview, as expected with Fletcher when we have him on the
Yep.
podcast or just chat to him in general. So I hope you enjoy this one, and yeah, just have a bit of fun listening.
I am Fletcher.
What a wonderful
Is that it?
introduction. Firstly, Fletcher, obviously you had a very big impact on the game this weekend with your efforts up front, keeping you at the top of the goal scoring charts. How do you feel about that so far this season?
I feel very good. I like scored like no goals. Gotta admit last season at all.
Yeah, I
It's very
believe.
good to be able to score goals this season.
Yeah, you've got 5 so far this year, so I think it'll be good to
Hold
see.
on, let me get the stats up. Let me see how many you scored last year.
I think last year I scored like 7 or 10 the whole season.
Oh, that's so bad. That's such a bad season, Fletcher. I can't believe you'd only score 7 or
No,
10.
You scored eight. Eight. Yeah.
oh that's bad. Oh
Sure.
well.
You know what? That's seven more than Jack scored last season.
That's what I was thinking. It
Yeah,
is a
Jack
lot
C
more than
And
scored.
I
it's
scored.
and it's eight more than I scored. So there's
Nah,
a
you scored
goalkeeper.
none as well.
I don't score. So like
Yeah, I think you are doing quite well. Don't diss yourself with stuff like that. But yeah, it was just, you've
Oh,
scored
very
5
well.
so far. So yeah, glad to see you feeling well about all of that. And Matt, you want to take the next question?
Yeah, so it's your first season being a fully fledged Premiership player. How's that feel? Has it been a bit of an adjustment playing full time in Premiership without being able to play in the Championship?
Oh no, I think last year I played mostly in the Premiership, but being named as a Premiership player is definitely cool this year.
Hmm.
Because, then you don't look like a little weird person anymore.
Oh, you still look like a little weird person, Fletch, but you're just good at
Oh
the
man.
sport.
Oh,
Well, one day.
Yeah, one day. Obviously, you've
Yeah.
had 2 wins in a row now, Fletch, this season after, yesterday's game and the game against the Wanderers last week. You are top of the table
Yeah.
currently. How are you feeling about, the club's chances this season?
Definitely aiming to win first 4 games. So obviously Jets and Hills next. So I think that would set us up pretty well.
Hmm.
And then of course end goal being try win nationals this year. That would be good.
Yeah, of course. I think,
yeah.
that's the prize that I think
I
everyone's
think
going
everybody
for.
wants to win nationals.
So I think it'll
Yeah, I
be
reckon we got a good chance.
it'll be very
You know?
exciting to see you guys put a good test to that. I look forward to it. So one thing that we're introducing this season, Fletch, you may remember in previous interviews you've done on the podcast, how I'd get you to like predict something and then like to do a review on the predictions at the end of the season. We're changing that up this year on the podcast. So what we're doing is we are asking a question to every interviewee, which is, what are we asking the next person that we interview? So it means that, the people we're interviewing can help shape the podcast as well. So last week I interviewed Dimitri, and he said that whoever I interviewed, I have to ask them what their personal goals are for the season. So Fletch, what are your personal goals for the season?
I think try and get lead goal scorer. We'll see how that goes. And then I don't know, maybe don't own goal. That'd be
Zero own
that's a good
goals
idea.
and leading goal scorer of the whole competition. I like that. I think you've set yourself up well in these first 2 weeks, and it's just about maintaining that lead now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess to wrap it up, I feel like it's an obvious question. So what do you want me to ask the next person, Fletch, considering that was what Dimmy sent? What are you sending to the next person?
I want to know how much cheese they ate that week.
I love that. That's a really good question, Fletcher.
You know what? That is a fantastic question.
That is a really
I think
good...
it's really good.
It's really your question. We're getting the hard-hitting journalism here on the Powered by Football podcast.
Did you ever get your cheese from Andy?
This can be
No.
another story for another episode of the Powered by Football podcast. I have received one installment
I
of
like
my
my brie
cheese,
cheese.
and I have been promised a journey into a cheese place in the city, and I can pick out cheese with Andy. So it is a
Alright.
prophecy
Hey, if
yet to
you-
be fulfilled.
You know, if you sniff blue cheese, it opens your eyes to new worlds.
I eat blue cheese. I've eaten gorgonzola. It is an interesting experience.
Raw?
I don't remember. I think I had it on a pizza, and then I think I did have it raw as well. Yeah, it was all melted, and I had it, and it was
Regardless,
yeah,
Fletcher, I think that's a really wonderful question, and I can't wait for whoever has to be interviewed next week. I guess this is
What's your
just a...
favorite kind of cheese? Maybe that's what
Cheese.
we should ask that as a bonus question every week, I think, on top of the bonus question. What is your favorite kind of cheese,
We need to
Fletcher?
ask everyone's favorite cheese so we can list
Yeah,
them down.
all right.
At the
This
end of
is
the
not the
That
season.
Powered
works.
by
What's
Cheese podcast.
What is your favorite
is-
cheese?
I like the cheddar one that has like the cranberries in it.
Ooh, cranberry cheddar. Ooh.
At the end of the year, we gotta have a slider designated to everyone's favorite cheeses.
You know what? That works.
This is actually a good idea, Fletcher. Oh,
Like
yeah.
have a
Yeah, all right.
list of all the players and their favorite cheese.
All right. Well, I think, is that all the questions? I think that went perfectly.
Unless you have any, Matt, that's about it.
I do not. I do not. I already asked about the cheese.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, what's Matt's favorite cheese?
Uh, I have to say, I'd have to get back to you on that one. I'd have to get back to you on that one.
What's Jax's favorite cheese?
Jax's favorite cheese. There's a couple that come to mind. You can tell I'm the fat one on the podcast, right? Firstly, there's a chili cheese that's at Coles that is very, very nice. Very expensive.
Really?
So, unless you're a millionaire, don't, get it all the time. But also, when I was overseas last year, I had pesto cheese. Like these little
Ooh.
cubes. These little cubes. And I would just have like Jatson cheese, but it was like pesto cheese. And it was very, very nice. So, those are the two that I would say are my goated cheeses. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to say before we end the recording and go back to the normal episode?
Not really.
Okay then. Well, Fletcher,
Perfect.
we will, see you around at the sport, and yeah, thanks for being on the interview.
Yeah, thanks for coming along.
Firstly, we have the championship match between the Western Sydney Wanderers and Hills United.
I didn't actually see a whole lot of the game because I was busy doing like 40 different things during that game, which is unfortunate. But Hills ended up winning, I believe 4-0. It was 2-0 at halftime.
That's correct.
So Bailey Pete scored one, which was a good little tussle between Jax and I believe it might have been Levi at the time who was in goals with you.
It was either
Who managed
Levi or
to
Misha who was in the box with me. That was for
yeah
3-0.
who managed to squeeze it through the two of you in a one-on-one. Pat Nolan got a brace. He scored the first goal off of a really nice cross from Prag Sharma. And then I don't believe his second goal had an assist. Either that or Prag assisted that one as well. I can't quite recall. And then the final goal was Alyssa Galea, who finished off a lovely corner taken by Prag. Now I owe her $10, but I think she's forgotten that. I said I'd give her $10 for every goal she scored this year.
Well, now you've
But she
mentioned
didn't say.
it.
Well, I don't think she listens to this.
I'm
If
going
she
to tell her to
does,
listen
hi
to
Alyssa.
this.
If she does, hi Alyssa. I'll give you the money at training probably, or on the weekend, one of the two. Yeah, I said I'd give her $10 for every goal she scored this year.
It's a
Hindsight,
risky.
maybe I shouldn't have done that, but
It's better than betting, a kilo of cheese for every goal scored
a
at a
kilo of
international
yeah, you're right.
competition.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
And I mean, the game was a bit scrappy, I'd say. Jackson obviously played in this one, so you could probably
A
give us a
test.
good idea of what it felt like being on the court for the game,
Yeah.
if you'd like.
Yeah, so in my time playing center in the game, I was sort of chasing quite a lot, and there was, a few times where you just get congested with the ball locked in certain positions because of 2-on-1s and certain situations, stuff like that. It still felt like a decent game to me. Like, obviously, playing Hills is one of the, stronger oppositions in the championship, and they had some good passing display throughout the match, which we were obviously not able to counter, but I think I had fun with it. Like, the boys are growing on my side. It's just there's room for improvement. There's learning. We're all just picking up things as we go, and hopefully you're gonna make it better in the future.
Yeah, I think Ramef
Yeah, Ramef.
looked very good for you guys. You looked good in the middle at times. I believe you came off a couple of times.
Can you explain what you mean by at times?
What do you mean that you looked good at times? No, I'm saying that you weren't on the field the entire time.
I see. I see. Try to check
Don't
these
worry,
things.
if you're rubbish, I'm gonna tell you.
I appreciate the honesty, Matt.
No, you were taking some nice passing options in when I watch back over because I watched back the game this morning or last night, I believe. And yeah, it was yeah, everyone was taking some nice options. It was a bit scrappy. I liked the way it was refereed. I thought Luke did a really good job of look, there were a couple of 2-on-1s. Let's play advantage. It looks like football. Let's just let them keep going.
Yeah, he did really well this weekend. I think we'll touch a bit on the refereeing in the Premiership game too,
Mhm.
but I think he did a good job in this game. Speaking of,
But
do you want to
yeah,
just move over?
so.
The next game was
The derby, the powered by
It
the
looked
full derby.
yeah. I'm curious as to what your thoughts on the game were because you played the entire game, did you
I
not?
played
I
40
mean,
minutes, that is correct.
how'd you feel?
A lot closer than I'd expected, I think, going into the match
Uh,
after a
uh,
5-0 defeat against Sydney. I think a lot of the team's heads were quite low going against the team with, yourself, with Asim, with Abs. We were like, okay, this is going to be a challenge. We're up to it. We're going to put our best account in it, but it'll be difficult. When I say I was not expecting us to go 1-0 up, I'm serious. I was laughing and
yeah.
smiling. Like, yes, I was just like, oh, okay, sick, we're up, awesome, beautiful. That goal goes in after, we're not sure if it's a Rameth Hereth assist at the moment. That'll be clarified at a future date. But basically, he was in a one-on-one
Yep.
with Absy, and it gets flicked back, and Steve just takes a shot, and Matt and Nassim in the box can't get to it.
Yeah.
It was a pinpoint shot. If it was an inch to the left, it hits the post. If it's an inch to the right, it hits my chair. He absolutely nailed it. And yeah, watching back the goal, I mean, it was a good goal. So credit to Steve. That was a fantastic shot.
Something we're not going to give credit to Steve for is him getting a yellow card in this game.
Yep.
Getting close, he was pushing his boundaries for the whole game, but just it was a very physical game from Steve for that whole 40.
He he was so proud of the fact that he didn't give away any fouls last week. He was very proud. Gave away a yellow today. Not today, yesterday.
Yeah, normally we were recording this a bit earlier, but it is a bit late at night for a bit of a peek behind the curtain. So if there are any slip ups or anything, we'll blame our fatigue.
Fatigue. Not that tired.
We go into the break
Mm.
of the game 1-0 to the Western Sydney Wanderers after Steve's goal, and the action would return soon after the game did. There was a set piece given away, Jono
Yeah.
Reyes on the top of the box with a, you know what, it was a bit of a mistake from Luke, to be fair. He called it as a free kick outside of the box when, upon review, should have been a penalty. But you know what? Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
The
look,
team
it
scored.
It was close. It was close.
I'm not upset at the call.
It was literally a matter of a few inches. And there was multiple chairs in the way. If he didn't have proper sight, it's like whatever. And yeah, like you said, we score off the free kick anyway. It was a fantastic wind up from a sim who just belted the thing at the goal. Wanderers not quite sure defensively what was going on. Maybe you can enlighten me there, but it almost looked like they'd set up for a indirect free kick, even though we'd been told multiple times that it was direct. Because half the goal was left open, basically.
I don't remember exactly what was going through my head at the time. And if I
Hmm.
did, I would have yelled at the boys, "Oi, this is direct. Forget about abs. Just stop the goal."
Yeah.
Regardless, I do think that, these boys do know the sport well enough to know that this is a direct free kick. Abs is not the only threat here. Whatever, they make a mistake, the ball goes in. 1-1. And
Yeah.
straight away, you could see the Wanderers' heads just drop. It felt
Mm.
like they lost the sting that they had in that first 20 minutes or so. They had a couple of passes every now and then, but there wasn't as much fire from them in the second half after that goal happened, and it was just a lot of Hills passing. And I will say, Hills' passing in this game was very, very good.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised because we'd worked a lot on positioning and passing and moving the defense around in the off season. And me and my dad were talking, well, we've talked about it a couple of times. It's like, yeah, after every training session, we're like, this looks great. Is this actually going to come off in a game environment, or are we just going to suck? We were kind of under the impression that, yeah, it would come off. We were nervously hesitant to definitively give a yes or no answer because you just don't know. I mean, I've talked to a couple of different teams about, hey, we trained great, we planned all this out, and it completely went out the window on game day. Nothing came off, and it fell apart at the seams. And it's like, well, is that going to happen to us? We don't know. I mean, Abs only had like 1.5 training sessions with us, if that, going into the game. You guys had already essentially had a game, so we were coming in without a game, whereas you guys had already played in that current of environment. I know that it was definitely a one-sided affair in that regard, but you'd still played a game nonetheless. So it was kind of a bit, is it going to come off? And it took a little bit to get going. The first 5 or so minutes was a bit shaky, but I think it got going towards the end of the first half, and then in the second half, once we scored, It was really, really good. We struggled with our finishing. There was a couple of times where Asim or Abs and Prayag as well in the second half. I mean, even Pat in the first half, half a meter away from the ball that would have been a tap in. Those things are gonna kill you later in the season. Fortunately, we got away with it. Got away with the win. It took us to the last kick of the game to get it done. It was some beautiful passing from both teams actually in the lead up to the Hills goal. You guys put a couple of passes together, then we put a couple together, and then I think Steve intercepted a ball off a couple of passes that we put together, which found Abs just near the outside of our box. And then through Abs, we worked our way up the field. We got a couple of shots off to begin with, which you guys made some tremendously good saves to keep out. In that situation, it was almost like a matter of time until one of the two defenders was caught out of position in the 4 or 5 shots that were taken, and eventually Abs got a beautiful ball out to a sim on the far post who 360 spin kicked it through both the defenders, and it went straight over the goal line at the far post from a sim side of the field. It was a lovely goal to watch, and it'll probably be uploaded as a short later onto YouTube, as well as Steve's goal most likely, which was also another lovely goal during this match.
Can I ask
But
Matt, just
hmm.
from a Hills perspective, are you seeing this game as more of a glass half empty or half full in that, yes, you guys got the result and had a good 20 minutes or so, but it did also take you that long to break down a weakened Wanderers side, had
So
half a squad missing, etc., etc.
yeah, so we should probably touch on that because I don't think we have. So Andy obviously missed the game because he was suspended last week. And then Ben, who is currently playing in England, actually his game is on currently, and it is
Score
well,
updates.
he's losing 4-0. It's hard to say. It was a good goal that we conceded. If we lose this game 1-0, it's like, yeah, I can cop that. Because it was a good goal, and at that point we were creating chances, but we just couldn't score. Once we scored, even at 1-1 with 5 minutes to go, I started to play off. I started to protect the draw almost a little bit actually, because I was like, look, 1 point is better than none. I started to not necessarily protect the scoreboard, but just play a little safer. Ultimately, we were happy with the win. We didn't really go into the game expecting to win because we knew after last week that you'd want some kind of a response. And in the first half, you definitely got that. You played with a lot of fire and a lot of heart and put a lot of really good stuff together. I think it's just kind of doing that for 40 minutes. And I think Steve and Jono worked fantastic in defense together and in the middle. You had a lot more passing options out wide through Steve. They did get caught out a little bit where Jono would push up and Steve would be tracking back and you'd give away a couple of 2-on-1s. But that's something that can be easily fixed up just through playing like that in training. But yeah, I don't know, half full or half empty. I think at the end of the game, I was just happy with the 3 points, and I said that to Dad. I'm like, we won. Win's a win. I'll take it. 3 points on the board. That's not something we could say a lot last year. I mean, Asim's already scored more goals this year than he did for the entirety of last season in one game, so he's doing great. Middle's definitely a very new position for him. I think he's been fantastic at it, both at training and in that first game on the weekend. I mean, what about you? Do you feel like you left something on the field that game, or do you feel like it was probably a fair result in the end?
Whether or not I'd say it's a fair result or whether I'd say it was inevitable with that second half is two different things.
Yeah,
I
okay.
I had the sort of feeling like it went 1-1, and I went, all right, let's just do our best to either get a goal or if not, hold it. But then that last
Mm.
5 minutes, I'd say, or not even the last 2-3 minutes, I was like, oh, it's probably gonna happen, isn't it? I don't want it to, but I've just got that sinking feeling, when you just know that something bad is gonna happen.
Yeah, last 5 minutes we had you under a lot of pressure, and there was a couple of times where it's like half an inch here or half an inch there, and it's like it's just not going to be our day today. It's going to be a draw. They've been defending well. It's not going to be our day. But last kick of the game, basically. Luke basically blew the whistle when you kicked off, pretty much.
Well, what I think works
Um,
well for you guys too, and I think this won't be the last time that we say this. You have got Abs on your team now, who thrives under last
Yeah,
minute goals and deciding a
He
match
does.
just before the whistle. I think that,
yeah.
you know what, here's a prediction. I think that you guys will get at least 12 points this season in the last like less than 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. We'd prefer not to have to do it that way, but I mean,
I know
we'll
Abs'
see.
history in football, and I know that he just loves that scenario.
Yeah, we're looking forward to a really good test against Sydney FC next week, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Minor update, it's now 5-0,
Jesus
but
Christ.
Aspire have just taken their entire team off.
Is Ben on?
Ben is on. Ben is on the field. I'm not sure if
Way!
he was subbed on at halftime or not, but he is on the field. He's just given away a free kick. I hope he's enjoying his time over there.
Comment below, Ben, if you're enjoying your time.
Comment below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, guys.
That's so true.
Need that revenue money, apparently.
All that money that this podcast makes, yeah.
We promise we're not AI.
Should we
I
scoot
promise we're
over
not
to
AI.
the old table and statistics and all that, Matt?
That sounds great.
Now that every team has played a game, we can safely say exactly where everybody is with full confidence.
We can.
So we'll start with the championship, and in first place after their second win, it is Sydney FC. They have 2 wins in 2 games and a goal difference of 10, which is very, very impressive. After Hills' win, the 4-0 win against the Wanderers on the weekend, they move from either third or fifth, depending on what you subscribe to second. Now sitting on 3 points with 4 goal difference. And in third place is Football St George, sitting on 3 points with 1 win and 1 loss. They have got +3 goal difference after losing to Sydney 3-0 and beating Newcastle 6-0. Speaking of Newcastle, they sit in fourth after losing 6-0 last week. They sit with 1 game played and 1 loss. And in fifth place is the Western Sydney Wanderers with 2 losses and a negative 11 goal difference.
Championship for goals. We have George de Jong way out front on 6. And then we have a 4-way tie for second with Riley Brown, Ibrahim Khan, Ruby McLean, and Pat Noland all on 2. And then a bunch of people are on 1 goal, including Tarek, Finn, Alyssa, and Bailey Pete. Assist-wise, we have a 2-way tie for second with Tarek Brown and Finn O'Donovan both on 4. Then we have Prag Sharma on 3, so he obviously did get that second assist for Pat's second goal. And then in third place, we have Riley Brown on 2. Clean sheet wise, we have Cody Town on 2 clean sheets, and then tied second place, Ibrahim Khan and Bailey Pete on 1 clean sheet each. And then if we go to the table, we have Sydney FC in first place on 6 points with a goal difference of 6. We then have the Newcastle Jets in second, who've only played 1 game but won that game 2-0, so they are on 3 points. We then have Hills United also on 3 points with a goal difference of 1. And then we have Football St George fourth on 0 points with a goal difference of -3, followed by the Western Sydney Wanderers at the bottom with a goal difference of -6.
So, as we mentioned in the interview, Fletcher Ball of Sydney FC leads the goal scorers chart. He has 5. A 2-way tie for second is between the Newcastle Jets' Dimitri Leolio Davis and Hills United's Asim Sodi. And Sydney FC's Riley Brown and the Western Sydney Wanderers' Steve Webb are tied for third on 1. On the assist chart, Josh Ryan leads that. He has 4 for Sydney FC. Second place goes to Daniel O'Brien of Sydney FC. He has 2. And then there are 3 players all on 1. They are Shannon Anlazark and Chris Hastis of the Newcastle Jets and Hills United's Abdullah Karim. In the clean sheets chart, that is led by Sydney FC's Joshua Ryan. Sydney FC have kept 2 clean sheets. so far this season, and the Newcastle Jets, Ryan Seck, has won so far this season. And that, I am almost certain, brings us to the end of the episode. Matt, is there anything else
Yes, sir, it does.
you would like to say before we wrap up?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered everything. Looking forward to some cracking games next week. Football St George have the bye next week. In the morning, we have Hills United playing Sydney FC. Championship game kicks off for that at 11 a.m., followed by the Premier League game at 12 p.m. Then we have the Western Sydney Wanderers facing the Newcastle Jets in the afternoon. The championship game for that kicks off at 2:30, and then we have the Premiership followed by that at 3:30 p.m. Now, also remember that if there's any listeners here who would like to come down and get in a chair and have a go, we have our skills acquisition program running at till 1 o'clock till 2 o'clock. I think that runs every weekend almost, but that will be on again on the weekend. So if you've seen any of the games and you're in a wheelchair and you'd like to come down and have a go, the game replays will be up on the New South Wales PFA YouTube page at some point later in the week. And until then, shorts of goals and various other highlights will be uploaded in the meantime and throughout the week. But until then, I guess that's it from me. And Jax, do you have anything you want to say?
I've got nothing else to add, Matt. That's the end of today's episode. We will see you guys next week. Thank you all for listening.
Beautiful. See you guys next week.
You can get involved in Power2 football here in New South Wales as an athlete, coach, referee, or volunteer by visiting the New South Wales Power2 football website linked below. Our season takes place in Glenwood at the Valentine Sports Park from the 14th of February 2026 to the 25th of July 2026 every Saturday. Contact info@nswpfa.org.au for more information.
And if you'd like to get in touch with the podcast, you can follow us at Powered by Football Pod on Instagram, join our Facebook group, Powered by Football Podcast, or follow our Twitter account at Powered by Pod. Thank you for listening.